Hi there, Anthony. You're founder and CEO at Teamed. Great to have you on the Blackfinch Ventures Fearless Founder series that we're running at the moment. Teamed was one of the investments we made about 18 months ago, I think now, September 22-ish, through our EIS and Venture Capital Trust. And it's been a great and exciting journey since then. I've been following the company quite closely. I think you've grown about 2.5 times in terms of your revenue since we made that investment. And you've also expanded into a number of countries, added loads of functionality to the platform, and hopefully we can get into that a bit over the next 20 minutes or so. So you're not a first-time entrepreneur. You've had success with a previous business called Vallee, growing a team from 5 to 50 odd people and driving sales to, I think, it was 20 million ARR. So tell us a bit about that and what made you want to start Teamed.
Well, thanks for having me. Vallee was an e-commerce / internet marketing startup, which we initiated back in 2012, sold it in 2016, as you said, with a little bit more than 20 million revenue. Sold it to our biggest competitor, which was very well funded by the likes of Khosla, Horowitz, and Y Combinator in the US. Stayed with them a little bit during the earn-out period, but then since then, though it was a successful exit, there was not enough for me to retire fully, and I've been looking for an even more ambitious project, and that's how Team came about.
Great, that's interesting to have another go at it. You've got plenty of time. So talking about Team, the product, the whole concept is that hiring internationally through Teamed is really easy for employers to do. But how do you differentiate against other players in this market? It's quite competitive, isn't it?
It is very competitive. And then actually we, before taking money from Blackfinch, we went the bootstrapping route, as opposed to some other players who went big American way in terms of investment. Frankly speaking, our business is about people, money, and compliance. So the differentiation doesn't really happen at the product level alone. And the way we differentiate is really by being a service-first company. We like to say that we are a service-first enabled by technology type of company. And we differentiate through two aspects: the customer experience and the go-to-market approach. On the customer success or customer experience element, we are very much differentiated on the flexibility front. We speak to HR who really want to have a hands-on type of experience, and that's exactly what we do. So we do the opposite somehow of most of the people on the market, and we try to cater for the type of ICP or typical client that we're going after, which are clients of a certain size, which care very much about what is offered to their employees, and that's exactly what we do.
Which part of the platform do customers value the most? When you're doing product demos and you're saying why they should go with Teamed, what's the kind of the wow moment?
Well, before I answer your question, so I'm a very big I'm very big on about the what we call just in time. I come from the automotive industry, and the just in time concept can be applied to information as well, so that people can make the right decision. And that's essentially what's guiding most of our product. So as far as your question is concerned, the piece that we believe our clients like the most is the fact that it's super simple. It exactly does what it says on the tin. And frankly, what it is, it's an HRIS platform, which is absolutely geared towards international employment. So what we do is we streamline the process of onboarding. We make access to all of the information and the data super easy at the right time. We make the adjustment super easy. We make the onboarding super easy. So that's essentially those aspects of the platform that our clients love. And frankly speaking, we know that exists on the market a lot of bells and whistles and everything else, and we're very much against this type of approach.
So it's more of a efficiency play for those companies that want to spin up.
And that goes very well
staff
with
members in other countries.
You're absolutely correct. And it goes very well with what I was telling you about being a service-first company enabled by technology. So the technology enable us to go fast into onboarding, making the relationship and the communications with our clients super efficient. But the fundamental of the service is in the infrastructure, is in the knowledge, is in the compliance elements in the background.
And did you figure that out when you originally conceived of the company, or was that something you learned on the way?
So it's a bit of both. As I said, I come from a background which is all about efficiency. Industries with 3% margin, you have to continuously improve, and you can't build things that are not absolutely necessary. So there's this in the background, but we've learned along the way as well. So we speak to our clients all the time. We actually have processes in place internally where a lot of people from the organization speak to the client, and we've got different touch points that allow us to capture those elements. And frankly speaking, there are always going to be people who want the bells and whistle type of things and the colors here and there and all the possible options, but we don't do that. So back to your question, bit of both, starting with the preconceived opinion of simplicity, reinforced by the experience with speaking to clients.
One of the things that we monitor across the portfolio, as you'll probably know, because you supply the data to us every month, is about employee retention, satisfaction amongst your customer base. And for Teamed, that's really high. So can you talk about that a bit? I mean high generally, but also high across our portfolio. So can you talk a bit about how you manage to achieve those levels of retention with your customers?
Yeah, of course, that's something we're extremely proud of. So I'm very happy to speak about it. When you say super high, we've been in operation for 3 years. We've had one churned client, and out of this week, this churned client came back to us. So that's the level of retention that we're speaking about. There's no secret sauce, in my opinion. I am, and our teams are absolutely obsessed with the client experience. We go as far as having developed this year something which we call endearing moments. And we consider clients not only the companies who pay us for the service, but the users, i.e. the employees. Because one of the things we realize, and that actually connects to the question you just asked before, one of the things we realize quite quickly is that our users who don't pay to use the platform, they're really our customers. They are the ones for who the client is paying. They are the ones who need to be satisfied of the service so that the client is happy. So that makes a huge difference when you gear your whole organizations towards providing a stellar service, not only to your clients paying, which I guess everybody's doing, but also all of the actual users slash clients who are the employees who get on board onto the platform. So that's really,
So
super thing. And did I say that we were a service first type of company? And that's essentially, that changes the mindset. We recruit people who go an extra mile to support a client, even if, the demand might be out slightly off. We don't grow at all costs because, most of the time that mindset or that equation leads into having a growth which comes at a cost of a customer experience, and we don't do that. So we grow extremely well, as you said, 0.5x in 18 months, but we're trying to make sure that our foundations are right and that the service we provide to the client is stellar.
Has that been a conscious part of the growth strategy for the underlying employees to love being paid through Teamed and get a bunch of services around that, so they go and recommend to future employers, or why don't you check this out?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. That's we've been speaking for a while about a positive flywheel where we please our clients, we please the employees of our clients, and as a consequence, the clients are even more happy, more likely to recommend us. Employees recommend us to colleagues who live in the same place as they do and who find a job elsewhere. And we also have employees who've been employed through Team for a given client, move company, change job, and ask their new client to use Team because they were happy, they were always paid on time, there was always somebody at hand to answer any of the questions they may have. They could get, all of the justification, the certificate, and everything else that, is a bit boring from an HR standpoint with us within 24 hours. So, clearly speaking, it's just a good client experience for them, and that's how we're hoping to initiate and now entertain the positive flywheel I'm speaking about.
Yeah, it's a very good flywheel, isn't it? You can build a sales force of your customers, essentially.
Yeah.
Just turning to the market for a second, many HR companies, and I'm just putting you in that box, I know you're slightly different to kind of other HR SaaS platforms, but many of those companies had quite a challenging 2023. Growth rates dropped off across the board in that sector as recruitment slowed down. What's your secret to keeping the growth going through that period? And do you have any thoughts on the wider market there?
There's no real secret. We don't really have a golden bullet, but well, first of all, the reason why we exist is because there's a talent gap between, let's say, industrial regions and other regions. That is not disappearing. That's increasing by the day, and that's becoming more and more of a problem. So that didn't disappear with let's call it the downturn of the last year and a bit. So from that perspective, we're a little bit lucky to be in a space where there still is an important need for employment. Associated with that, our niche, the niche of international employment, is still growing. It's been when we started, back in 2019, it was very infant, and we had to educate clients, make them understand. Now it's just like part of real life, and there's so many demand from talent looking for job, that when there is a talent friction in terms of acquiring the talent, that is actually closed with people like us, or at least in some cases with people like us. So that's I guess the overarching type of situation is we're fortunate to be in a growing market. The second element is I was briefly mentioning our go-to-market strategy. We briefly mentioned the flywheel as well. The fact that an important part of our growth comes from referrals and partnerships, dealing with clients who are very much aligned with our targets and ourselves, that basically alleviate a little bit of the overall economical environment. What I mean by that is we still have had a slowdown of our biggest clients. We still have had clients downsizing their teams. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think if we didn't have that, the growth instead of 2.5 might have been 4x or something like that. So we have an impact. There's no question about that. But our go-to-market strategy, relying more on people being advocates of who we are and being ears on the ground as to when a need occurs, basically, as I said, alleviate a little bit the overall economical environment, because we have access to the maybe slightly smaller, but the demand is there. So we get access to that more easily. And another element is we kind of punch above our weight from that perspective. So on a per capita basis, we're far more effective than any of our other competitors. And not to mention that we're also getting more and more, because of the good work we do on the customer experience, we're getting more and more clients coming from the competition, which means it's not essentially a new growth, it's actually a transferred growth, so to speak. So that's essentially a few of the elements that have helped us continue growing during that period, and we think it's going to accelerate this year.
Yeah, one of our investment themes for when we were looking at the company was it's such a huge market in any case, so you're sort of insulated a bit from those macro trends, but you can also go after pockets of the market that are growing quickly. So it might have been, I don't know, Web3 a year ago, or crypto or AI, and you can just move into the different sectors where people want to hire people.
Yeah, and that's a very good comment. Yeah, but we've exactly have had those situations on top. So I was mentioning it was some of the ingredients. I could have been mentioning the team, obviously, but you're absolutely right. We have the flexibility. Right now, we are exposed, and that's a conscious decision we've made early on. We've exposed 25% to the tech startup scene. We're all the same. Tech startup scene is great. They go Series A, they go crazy. Recruiting is great, but at the same time, we have a ton of more established auditors, accountants, financial services, more stronger type of companies. And you're right, we can be a little bit more opportunistic in some area. We have also what we call trade routes, which are essentially when there are close ties between a country which needs talent and a country that has talent. And I don't want to be too public about some of our secret sauce, let's say, but it's obvious that there are some countries which have more alignment in terms of language, in terms of certification, like school certification, education, and those type of things. And we leverage those, and you're right. that helps with these periods. So that was an additional ingredient, yes.
Yeah. Without giving too specific numbers, I know that the first couple of months of the year for you are shaping up really well. It's an uptick in the growth rate already. Is that a general market point, or do you think it's where you've been investing in the business?
I think, I really genuinely think it's the beginning of the effect of our flywheel, positive flywheel. So without going into the detail of numbers, but Q4 last year, we doubled the number of clients, new clients we onboarded versus the previous period. And in January and February, we've been breaking records further. We don't really, well, we see some warming up of the market overall, maybe more in the US than elsewhere, which is not a big market of ours. So we think that things are going to improve towards the second part of the year. But today we have not seen any significant changes in terms of our existing clients' growth. So fundamentally, most of our growth is coming from new clients, which is a result of what I was discussing a little earlier. At this stage, I don't think that what we're doing good is actually a result of the market warming up, because we haven't seen many difference in our key KPIs that we're tracking. What we do see a difference is our win rate, our opportunities created, which are coming from referrals and partnerships, which is a result of all the investment that we've made last year into those categories.
When we were speaking 18 months ago, it was just you pretty much leading on the sales front, and since then you've grown the team quite a bit in order to build out a sales engine. Can you talk a bit about how you've done that and where you spent the cash?
Yes. So I'm sure every single founder you interview will tell you people are the most important. I've learned it the hard way. You see that I've got a bit of gray hair, and that's a no-brainer. And my first step, as you might remember, when we took the money from Blackfinch back in September 2022, was to build the senior leadership team. So you're right, it was mainly myself and four other great guys building the company. But the first step was the senior leadership team. So our head of operations, Tom, head of revenue, Tom, head of operations, Plabon, and head of finance, Luke. And we now have a little bit later head of legal, Joanna. So for me, that's the big, most important step that we've taken with the investments. That's the time when you can reach out to people. Just a comment there. I know you haven't asked the question, but a comment there. We take a little bit of a contrarian, not quite contrarian, but a unique type of approach when it comes to people, where we're not looking for the best person we can get our hands on, that who's done this, who's done that. We never do that, and we're looking for people who have obviously a brain, right mindset, right attitude, and we know those people can become the expert in our space. So of course there are some elements which are positive, but the reality is that the most successful entrepreneurs of the world before being super successful, they might not have been. So the job that I see myself is to basically bring on board the talent of tomorrow, who we think are going to be instrumental in making the company successful. And I genuinely believe that I've got the best team. I've got the best with me right now. I've got the best team I've ever had in my 25 years career, and I am super. No, but I'm I tell that to them, and I'm not shy about saying it around. This is critical, and Tom is absolutely stellar in the growth that we've been having. He's been adapting everything he's done. He comes from an HR background, but he's been adapting everything he's done for the specificities of our company, of our market. And that's not always the case. I've had situation before where you recruit a senior person and they just want to enroll what they've learned before, what they've done successfully before. And for us, that's not a successful recipe. And fundamentally, that was the first spending. So sorry, a long answer to a quick question. But so that was the first thing. And of course, you've heard me saying how customer experience is so important, we've been investing in the foundation of the company. So, you were asking me a little earlier about differentiation. We did the opposite of everybody else. So we didn't go out on the market overnight and say, oh, we can do 150 countries. We went to the market overnight and say, we can do that country super well, and that country super well, and that country super well, and that's how we've been doing. So investing in infrastructure, investing in the people, and investing in the processes, because obviously we don't want to alter the customer experience, but at the same time, I'm absolutely obsessed with efficiency. Coming from the industry I was telling you a little earlier, and we're getting into AI like everybody else, but we don't do that at the cost of customer experience. We do that purely and entirely for efficiency purposes. And if we just need to use 70% of what we could do, and retain the pieces that we are very conscious are super important at the client level, then we do. So don't know if I answered all of your question. And obviously, we invest in tech, but not in a crazy way, as you understood. The product is just a part of the product. Sorry, the platform is just a part of the product.
On the team point, I think it's a huge risk generally with startups, and so many startups make the mistake of hiring in expensive execs from larger companies that don't work out. So I'm completely with you that if you can hire in talent before they're at that level and have them grow with the organization, that's a huge benefit to the business. And you've done that very well, clearly, because that core team has been in place and driving this growth over the last 12 months. Just scanning forward 5 years, or maybe a bit longer than that, where do you see the company?
So I spoke about the talent gap. That's not going to disappear. That's just going to keep growing massively. Our industry is becoming business as normal. I don't know what the percentage is. You have 30% of the population that doesn't want to go back to the office. You have the generational push. You have the intentional talent pushing. So we're only scratching the surface. I've never been. Sometimes I look at our opportunities and I'm overwhelmed, because I genuinely, I'm not playing anything here. I'm just genuinely overwhelmed by the size of the opportunity. So back to your question about where we're going to be in 5 years, don't know exactly, but what I do know is we're going to be a benchmark for our industry in terms of service and customer experience. And what we want to do is to own the European market. I've grown the previous company, I told you, Vallee, with the original founder. We grew the company in Europe with the specificity of Europe. I was briefly mentioning flexibility a little earlier. That's a key element that is very, very often overlooked. So digressing a bit, but the point I was making is we want to excel at what we're doing and keep doing that. And we want to own the European market. Now, as part of this longer term type of view, there are two big elements playing, in my opinion. Number one, and I mentioned that a little earlier, we are very, very, very big on being employee-centric. We believe that a lot of what we're doing eventually will pay off in a different form. And that different form will be the positive flywheel that I'm speaking about. And it's going to be also, upselling to that huge audience that love us for what we're doing, that can rely on us, can trust us. So that basically opens a huge amount of upselling opportunities that is directly going to the other side of the equation, which is the employees. So that's one comment. And the second comment is, this industry is bound to be seeing a lot of consolidations. So we have some of the big players who are going the all value chain integration route. So they want to do HRIS, they want to do recruitment, they want to do what we do, they want to do payroll, they want to do this and that. Fair enough. Yep. That's a strategy. We think that there's not so many things that we can be great at. I wish good luck disrupting the HRIS space, for example. But anyway, what I think is they're going to be there are two ways. Either you integrate 100% the value chain, or you combine some aspects of the value chain. And I think that's most likely what could be happening to us in a few years if you want to go a level further, because there are some obvious synergies that would make a combination of our company with other pieces of the puzzle, other pieces of the value chain, employee value chain, extremely, extremely interesting and accretive from day one, to be honest. So don't know exactly where we're going to be, but we're going to be big, owning Europe, and being a benchmark at what we do.
Sounds like some good targets. Thank you very much, Anthony, for joining us.
Thanks
I
for
think we'll
having me.
wrap it there because we've gone through quite a lot of content there. Hopefully that's given people a good overview of the company. And it's been really great to work with you over the last 18 months. I look forward to following the journey in 2024.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.